And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here, and today we're going to take a look at a Kickstarter game that has since been released. We're going to take a look at Chicken Caesar by Nevermore Games, Brian Fisher and John Sizemore, and this is a 3 to 6 player game that's going to involve a lot of voting, a lot of negotiation, and trying to keep your chickens in the right offices, or if your chickens have died, trying to earn office positions for them that you can give them posthumously. And earning those things, getting the most points and getting the most offices for your chickens is going to win you the game. So real quick, why don't we take a look at what you get inside this box. We'll see how the game plays, and then we'll come back here and we'll get my final opinions on Chicken Caesar. So here you can see the layout and components for a 4-player game of Chicken Caesar. What we've got here is several people's roosters represented by these wooden blocks. Very nice quality wooden blocks with stickers on them. And they are set into different positions, different offices on the board. We have the Caesar office, the consul offices, the censor office, the praetor offices, which are the guards, and the aedile, or I don't know how you say it, but taxman offices down here, as well as a general kind of milling office here for people that are looking to get into government at a future point. Now, the game is going to take place over a series of phases, and the phases are pretty much involving voting and then taking actions, resolving everybody's actions and making sure that they get the credit for being in their particular office, and then kind of resetting everything at the end. But we'll cover them one by one. So the first phase of each round of play is actually going to be advancement, but at the beginning of the game you've determined where these chickens are going in player order and then backwards in reverse player order to make sure that the distribution is fair. Right now, white is the first player. They are the Caesar, and they're going to have this suffragium or suffragium marker, which is a giant chicken, and a veto token, which means they can veto the result of one vote. Everybody else is in their positions here, and will continue on taking action. So there's no advancement in the first phase because there are no open spots. But after that, after advancement, you're going to go ahead and take actions. And that's going to start down here with the tax people at number 1, move up to the guards, then to the censor and the consul, and Caesar doesn't take an action. But we start with the aedile here, and what they're going to do is they're going to determine the tax rate for the year, which has some effects on different actions later. But one, they're going to determine the tax rate. And you'll look and see, okay, orange is at the beginning, and they get to choose. The tax rate starts at 2. They can choose anywhere within that range of 2 to either increase, decrease, or keep taxes the same. So they can go up 2, they could go up 1, or down 1, or keep it the same. So let's say maybe they decide to go up 2. At this point, green, who is in position 2, or B, could decide either to agree with that vote, moving the taxes up to 4, or they could either go 1 lower or 2 lower from that spot, saying maybe we want to keep it 3 or maybe we want to keep it the same. But let's say they go to 3. At this point, purple gets the decision. If green had said to go up to that, purple would do nothing, but at this point, purple has the decision to choose either up 1 or up 2. And we'll say they go up 1 and taxes are now 3. After the tax rate has been set, we move on to the praetor actions, and each person in the praetor office is going to have some say in which of these offices get protected and which one of them are filled with traitors, looking to basically let foxes in to carry away some of the people holding office. So each one of these people in these areas holds an office. And we'd look at the tax rate and we'd see how many traitors are going to be in the deck, and there's going to be 5. So we would grab 5 of these traitor cards and we would separate them out. After that, we're going to fill the deck up to 10 cards with vigilant guards, guards that are actually loyal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to put them in there, and maybe we shuffle it up a little bit. But at this point, we're going to pass the deck between purple, white, and orange. And these people are probably going to be trying to protect their own chickens by placing guards that are good in areas where they can protect their own workers, and the traitorous guards in areas where they can carry off chickens of other players. So the purple person would get the cards first, and they'd be able to look through them and decide which one of these cards they wanted to play out onto the board in one of these spots. You can see there's 2 spots here, 2 here, 3 here, and 3 here. Well, purple has really no one in the center area, so maybe they put a traitorous guard over in the center area. And then we look at, let's see, white goes next. Well, white's pretty much safe everywhere, so they're going to put a traitor over here. And then orange has a choice, and they really want to protect their spot in the console, so they put a vigilant guard there. And you're going to distribute these out, basically looking to protect your own guys and carry away other guys that you don't so much care about. So let me just distribute these randomly here. All right. After those are all distributed, purple would choose one white, then orange, then purple, white, orange, purple. All 10 cards get distributed. After that's done, we're going to move on to the censor. And this player, which happens to be green, green's number 3 chicken, is going to go ahead and choose any one player on the board to exile from their office. Now, each player has, at the beginning of the game, in a 4-player game, 6 chickens, but only some of them will be out on the board, and you can exile anybody except for the Caesar, and that includes yourself. So the censor can choose any one of these chickens to exile. Maybe he wants to get rid of somebody in an office so that he can advance, or maybe he doesn't feel safe as the censor and wants to exile himself. No matter what, he can choose any one of these guys to exile from their position. So if he chose 2, orange from the tax person office, he would move them to exile. For doing this, he would get 1 money. Alternatively, the censor can exile himself. He won't be there next turn, but the odds of him staying there are actually pretty low anyway. If he exiles himself, he does not get money, but he would immediately take one of the tokens for his office. They look like this, and he would place it on his chicken. So green's 3 chicken would get the censor token, and it would go on that player's chicken for later to score. So let's say he did that. After the censor's office is resolved, we're going to move on to the consul office. And the consul, for the first couple rounds of the game, won't really do anything. The reason to be here in the first couple rounds of the game is that you can potentially get elected to Caesar from the consul's office. But later in the game, they're going to do what's called approving or disapproving monument upgrades. As your chickens die, they will have monuments built to them, and they will have the ability to have tokens from offices added to them posthumously. So if they die without a token for being a consul and you earn an extra consul token in the game, you can potentially bribe the consuls or convince them to place that token on that person's monument, saying that they were a consul and earning you more points at the end of the game for having more consul tokens amongst your family of roosters. The Caesar actually doesn't do much, but he does have a veto token, which he can use to cancel the results of any one vote, be it voting for advancement, which we haven't covered yet, or the result of a chicken or a rooster being carried away by foxes, which also hasn't been resolved yet, but we'll go there shortly. But know that the veto power of the Caesar is the only thing he has and really just cancels the results of one vote. After all of the actions have been resolved, from taxes to guards to exiling to approving or disapproving of monuments, we move on to the awards phase of the game. So first we move people up into positions that are empty, then we resolve actions, and then we award the people that are in positions. And each position is going to get the token that matches their position. So 2 of orange, green, and 3 of purple are going to get this little token that goes on the appropriate card for the rooster, one of these down here, and will show that they held that office at one point in time. If they already have that insignia, let's say when we resolve the Praetor one that 2 here already had one, they would take the token, but they would set it aside, hopefully being able to bribe the consuls later to place it on one of their dead roosters in order to score points for it at the end of the game. So each person is going to get the token for their respective office. In addition, the tax collectors are going to get the current tax rate minus 2 in terms of money. So they're going to get, for example, the tax rate is 3, so each of them would get 2 money. The Caesar is going to get the current tax rate without the subtraction in order to add to his thing because, he's Caesar and he gets all the money. So after all of the awards have been given out, you're going to move on to the attack phase, resolving these cards that were placed by the Praetors early. And you start with the consul and move your way down. This is how guys are going to be removed from office. You'll reveal these 3 cards, and you'll count the number of traitors and see if it's more than the number of vigilant guards. So here we have 2 traitors and 1 vigilant guard. Well, 2 is more than 1, but in this office, the consuls can bribe 1 traitor so that you can even it out. And it would take 3 coins, or 3 frumenti they call them, divided up however you want between the 3 consuls. 1 could pay for all of it, or you could split it 1 apiece, to bribe one of these guards to go away, the traitorous guards. If you do so, it would be 1 and 1. But let's say that they can't come to a conclusion in order to how to pay, so there's 2 traitors, and that means that there is 1 more traitor than there is vigilant guards, and one of these guys must die. In that case, you're going to have a vote, and whoever has the suffragium marker is going to nominate a chicken to die in this case. So maybe since white is Caesar, he doesn't want purple to live, and he nominates purple to be the chicken to die, placing him on the A spot as he is the A chicken, and then he passes this to his left, to the next player, who would then either decide to nominate a different chicken, or to second the nomination, or to pass. If you nominate someone to die, then basically you're just nominating them, and they will die if they get a seconding. But if they don't get seconded and someone else has moved up, then you have multiple choices to choose from. Maybe the next player doesn't want green to live. And at some point, someone's going to have to make a choice as to who's going to die. They will second that person, or pass. They can pass by paying a money. But you will second somebody, and that will be the rooster that dies. In this case, that rooster is removed from the game and placed into the monuments, and later can have things added to their card, those sigils that you'll get for the offices. Maybe you have extras. You can place them out there with a bribe in order to continue on. The remaining chickens would go back in seniority order, and everyone would shift up in that office, filling the senior positions and leaving the later ones empty. And you would resolve all of the offices like this. So you'd look here, we have a traitor and a vigilant. That's a tie. Here we have a vigilant and a traitor. Again, everyone survives. And at the bottom here, we have a printed traitor, a vigilant, and another traitor. So somebody's going to die in this office. Let's just say that it happens to be green. And after the vote, it turns out that green dies. And these shift up. So, at this point, we are now done with the attacking phase. At this point, if anyone has died, we're going to move on to what's called the attrition and adjustment phase. At this point, if anyone has died, Caesar automatically is removed from office and will die. If this happens, the censor, if he were still in his position, would be returned to the questor's office because he can't stay in office if the Caesar dies. If no one died, the Caesar would proceed to a second term in office and can only stay 2 terms in office, and the next term will automatically be removed from office. But that happens very rarely. It's likely that the Caesar will die. If the Caesar does die, taxes will go down by 2. If he lives, they will go up by 2. And if he is simply, resolving his second term and not dying, they will stay the same. So the more that the Caesar survives, the more traitors there are likely to be the next round. After you've done that, you can propose those upgrades I was talking about. Basically, each player can put out upgrades. If you had an extra console marker, you could put it out with some of your money in front of your chicken. Let's say green had an extra console insignia. He can put it out there for the next round to try and determine whether or not these consuls will approve the bribe, and they'll approve them in turn order, one at a time until none are left. And when they do that, they'll choose to either take the money of the bribe and approve it, allowing that token to go out on the second player or the second chicken from green's card, or they'll deny it, return the insignia to the supply, and put the money back as well, basically saying that they don't want that player to get the points from that insignia. In the next round, you're going to proceed with the beginning of advancement again. These upper offices will be filled from the lower offices by a vote like I showed you earlier. The only difference is that if you nominate one of your own roosters, you have to pay him money. So if Orange were to nominate his rooster to go up to censor by putting him out for a vote, he would have to pay him money. If he nominated someone else's, he doesn't have to pay that money and will basically get away with a nomination for free. And seconding a vote never, ever takes money to do at all. So seconding a vote, even if it's your own rooster, is free. And you'll fill these up from the bottom. So if Orange won, he'd move up. And let's say White won that vote, and he'd move up. All of these would advance. And then, in turn order, with whoever has the suffragian marker, which will pass around each time somebody votes, you'll fill the lower offices. So if Purple had the choice, they can move up anybody, or they can move up one of their own by paying a money. So they could move up, let's say, White for free. And then Orange would like to move up one of their own, so he pays some money to the bank and moves himself up. And then maybe Green wants to move himself up to here. These offices would already be filled because you'd have voted on it earlier. And these would have filled prior, so you'd have a vote about who moves up to these. It would have been done before we filled the lower offices. But you get the idea. First you fill the higher offices, then you fill the lower offices from this position here. You'll continue on with the next round of actions, from the taxes to the guards to the censor to the consul, and continuing on, with these guys approving the potential monuments, which won't happen until the third turn because it's impossible to get multiple markers of the same type until at least the third turn, where these guys can approve them. But basically you're going to continue on in this manner, trying to collect these insignias, trying to collect money, and to position yourself into offices where you can best do this until the end of the game, which will happen when either one person's chickens all die through being carried off by the fox, or you don't have enough live chickens to fill all of the offices on a turn, or potentially if any one of the insignias runs out during the game. At this point, you will finish up the game. You'll check and see if you have any insignias left over. You'll turn them in for money. The bronze is being worth 1, the silver's worth 2, and the gold's worth 3. And then you'll count up how many of each insignia you have on your chickens. And the more you have of each type, the more points you'll get, which is summarized in a little graph they have Obviously, the higher the position and the more tokens you have, the better you'll do. So if you have a bunch of the Adelaide ones, if you get up to 5 Adelaides, it's worth 15 points. But if you get up to 5 Caesars, it's worth 45 points. After adding all of this up, plus points for your money, whoever has the most points will be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Chicken Caesar by Nevermore Games. A good negotiation game in which you have to manage several different things. One, you have to manage your money. Not having enough money is going to put you in positions where you can't effectively bribe other players to keep office insignias that you can put on your dead chickens in order to get more points at the end of the game, because the more insignias that each chicken has, the better they're going to be in terms of scoring, because you want to accumulate multiples of different office insignias in order to get points. So keeping enough money is important. Also, positioning yourself so that you are in good offices to make sure that you can hold positions or advance to the Caesar position, which is obviously worth a lot of points if you can manage to stay there, is very important. As the Caesar, it's important to kind of try and be fair to all of the players, because you're trying to make sure that everyone tries to keep you as Caesar, which is very difficult to do. If you manage to stay at Caesar for 2 rounds, I think you've done an incredible job, because I don't think I've seen anyone yet manage to stay Caesar for 2 rounds, even though we've had multiple tries at it. So with all that said, I think there's a lot to do in Chicken Caesar. There's a lot of negotiation. It's going to depend heavily on the group you play with as to whether or not you're going to enjoy the experience. But I think for a group that likes to negotiate, likes to kind of backstab a little bit, Chicken Caesar is going to be a great game. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out, Chicken Caesar from Nevermore Games.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.